Hi, and welcome to Nerdiest Prime. We are reviewing every episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. We're in season 1, and today we're doing Home Soil, and I'm joined by the Nerdiest Prime crew, Namir from Toronto.
Hey.
And Alan from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
How's it going?
Hello, and I'm Lucas, and I'm here in Los Angeles, California. What did we think of Home Soil?
Enterprise is on a routine mission cataloging planets. But Starfleet wants them to check in on some terraformers on Velara III because they're way behind schedule. Picard gives them a call, but Director Mandl is acting super shady and clearly doesn't want company. Troi gets a bad vibe. Picard sends an away team anyway, because that's what they do. Riker, Data, Yar, LaForge, and Troi beam down. Surprise, surprise, something's not right. They explain their master plan to turn this dust bowl into paradise. Then, out of nowhere, Troi gets a sudden burst of pure terror. The team rushes to find the door locked and the drill room going full murder mode. When they finally get inside, hydraulics guys toast, lasered up by a rogue drill. Data and LaForge stay behind to check out the accident. While Data is running a test, the drill suddenly locks onto him and tries to laser his face off. He dodges, the door locks, and LaForge and Benson hear a whole bunch of crashing. When they finally get in, they find Data standing next to the drill, which is now completely wrecked. Picard shuts down operations, which makes Mandl furious. The director insists Picard is overstepping, but Picard doesn't care. Data and LaForge investigate and find something strange. A flicker of light down in one of the boreholes. Crusher sticks the weird glowing thing in a glass case and runs some scans. The computer says it has no organic molecules, but might be alive. Boom! Now there are two glowing things. They try to contain it, but it's messing with the ship's systems. Then the universal translator kicks in, and the first words they get are, "Ugly giant bags of mostly water." Harsh, but fair. The entity explains that the terraformers ignored their attempts at peaceful communication. The crew realizes the entity is a micro-brain. Picard confronts Mandl, who admits the terraformers saw random energy patterns but assumed they were harmless. Back in the lab, the micro-brain keeps growing and is now powerful enough to take over the ship. Picard tries reasoning with it, but the entity isn't having it. The team realizes the microbrain is photoelectric, and as soon as the lab goes dark, the microbrain weakens and begs for more light and just wants to go home. Picard obliges, beams it back to the planet, and promises to stay away. The microbrain, still salty, says humans are too arrogant to be trusted and should come back in 300 years maybe. Picard, probably thinking about how the Prime Directive got violated again, agrees. He places a quarantine on Velara III and sets course for the nearest starbase. Lesson learned, probably.
Let's start with Alan.
I don't think I think anything of it because I felt like my brain was being damaged.
All right.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, I like the first part of it. I like the mystery of the terraforming station and what's going on, and all that was great. And then once they got on the ship, watching that bell jar with the little diodes in it, this whole show just fell apart. It was super boring.
So, you liked it then? Okay, Namir.
No, that wasn't what I said. No, that wasn't what I was going for. It was it started good anyway.
Well, okay, as expected, I liked it more than I didn't like it. I thought it was good sci-fi. I agree that there was some boring parts. I think for the most part, I liked the mystery. I liked the sci-fi elements of it. Finding a new species. they've got this moral dilemma that they have to deal with. It kind of felt like classic the Star Trek. I think they kind of flubbed it at the end there, but for the most part, I thought it was a pretty good episode. Which both of you seem to agree with.
I'm always like, whenever you finish talking to me, I'm always like, did he really say what he just said? What did he say?
I know, right? I was like,
No,
did he say he liked it? Or he's just like
he tears apart all the new Trek, but then you go back to this old stuff, and it's like, I don't get the fanboy love.
Well, that's. I mean, it's not fanboy love. I just think it's a pretty good episode. I'm not going to say that there's not problems with it. There are, but I think the things that I liked about it outshine the things that I didn't. Whereas with New Trek, most of the time I don't like any of it. So there's no balance there. Like there's like one thing I would like about an episode and a billion things I hate about it. So yeah, it's a little bit different. Yeah. Alan's like, bah.
It's like I feel like Norman from I Mud, where I'm just like, it does not make sense. I'm going to explode.
But if you are intelligent and intelligent people can tell good from bad, how is it possible? How could it be good?
How could you like this episode? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I think that home soil is the bottom of the Next Generation barrel. It's the bottom of the barrel. It's along with Lonely Among Us and Too Short a Season. It's like an episode. I don't think that I think, Alan, you and I maybe rewatched this episode at some point in the last 10 years. But aside from that, I don't think I had seen it since the 1990s when I first saw the episode. And I'll get into what I like about the episode in a little bit, but yeah, I was really looking forward to seeing it again, hoping there'd be something new to appreciate about it, but there wasn't. Okay, so what do we? I don't know how to talk about this. Should we do the usual talk about the premise and plot, or talk about what we liked? I know. Namir, I would like to hear about what you liked about the episode.
Well, I like episodes that have a mystery, right? Like that to me, Star Trek is about exploration of space and encountering things that they don't understand and trying to figure it out, right? And solve what that is. And they use their wits and their skills, and they kind of innovate, and they ask questions, and they're just curious, right? Those are my favorite episodes. And this was kind of one of them, right? Because they encounter a problem, they set it up like it's a murder mystery, but it doesn't end up being that way, right? It ends up being something really sci-fi-ish, where it's it's an alien species that they've never really encountered before, so they have to kind of figure it out. They got to kind of figure out how to communicate with it. And I just like that. That's kind of why I watched the show. I know there's problems with the episode, but the central story really felt like good science fiction to me. So that's kind of why it resonated. And there's no real action or anything. There's interesting characters. So I kind of, there was enough there where I could ignore all the stuff that didn't work.
Namir, Alan, what do you not like about this episode?
This is only an hour. These reviews are only an hour long.
Well, no, I'll just briefly say, I like everything up to the point, where they discover the life form. And then it just doesn't make any sense to me knowing Trek, because they act like they've never seen an inorganic life form before. But we had the Horda, we had the Excalbians in the original series. There's a precedent here for non-organic life that the Federation has encountered. And I'm like, they just act like they don't know anything about silicon-based life or there's Starfleet has literally found several examples already, and they act like, oh, geez, I've never seen anything like this before. I'm like, you have. It's in your database. And
I
then
guess,
it's just,
I guess they didn't study that night for the test
I
at
guess
the
not.
at the academy. Nobody was
But
like
somehow
paying.
Riker remembered in the Naked Now that, oh, I remember reading a report about the original Enterprise, how someone was like taking a taking a shower, you know?
With their clothes on,
With
because
their
a lot
clothes
of
on.
people
Yes,
because a
exactly.
lot of people take
He
showers.
that's that kind of stupid crap, but he doesn't know anything about inorganic life apparently.
Well, but
If anybody,
they didn't know it was life until the computer was like the only answer could be life, and they were like, oh, okay, that makes total sense.
okay, this is what
They totally, the conversation goes on and on and on about how, oh, there's no life that's not organic, you know. Oh, we only have experience with organic life. And it's like, no, you don't. You've met all sorts of things that are inorganic. And then I say it was just super boring because it was basically a discussion about life, and there was really nothing. There was nothing like they say. You know, the best Star Trek is when they have some sort of personal story. There was no personal story here. None of the crew had really any meaningful connection to the story. Like there was no personal story in this at all. It was all just a lot of exposition and mystery solving, and it's one of them ones where we're way ahead of the crew. Seems
Wait,
like they're really slow to figure it out.
who says that the
And
best
it's like,
episodes have a personal story? I've never heard that before.
they do. Michael Piller always
Who?
said that. It's like, make it personal. The best episodes. That's why season 3 is so good, because Michael Piller came in. Anyway,
we were talking about that last week with Too Short a Season. I was saying that. I was saying that if Jameson had been, related to say Crusher, then it would have been a much more interesting story than just this guest star kind of taking over and nobody cares about who this guy is and that sort of stuff. I don't know if I would go and say all the best Trek is personal, but obviously a more personal story is more engaging than a less personal one. Would you?
Yeah,
not
I mean,
say?
I think in the sense that you need to connect to the audience somehow, right? You know, and a personal story is a great way of doing that. But I don't necessarily think that every episode has to have that, and I'm sure there are episodes that don't. Um, but I think it's more like the problem with what was the one with the old guy that we didn't like? What was that called again?
Too Short a Season.
Yeah, the problem with Too Short a Season was that it was about the admiral, right? It wasn't about anybody on the crew, right? So you weren't actually seeing them do anything. But in this case, it's different. Like they're front and center. This is a story about them trying to solve a mystery, or Captain Picard's trying to suss out what's happening on the terraforming planet, and there's obviously something being hidden. So they're personally involved. Like they're actually in there. So I don't know if I agree with that as a criticism. Like I don't need like a personal, my grandfather was also a terraformer, and that kind of stuff, right? Like I don't necessarily need that. But there should be a way for the crew to be doing something, right? And I think they had that here.
Okay, I'm going to talk now. I think that I'm going to say some good things after, but I think what really bothered me about the episode and what was really not working was that, first of all, they kind of really forced it into a murder mystery thing, because it's kind of like they needed to have a hook and hang it onto something. So they were like, who of these scientists are capable of murder? They were really doing the Agatha Christie thing, and it kind of fell flat. And then when they discovered that it was a life form, they didn't have to work for it at all. They literally plugged it into the computer and they asked the computer a question, and the computer says, life.
Disregard incongruity and theorize as to source. Life.
Like, the computer told them that the lights, the little things, the only thing that they could possibly be is life forms. So they didn't work for it at all. They were just told by the computer what it was. So it's not exciting or interesting. And that is my main criticism, is that they were all lazy. They were all stupid. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't figure anything out for themselves. They just sat around talking to the computer, and the computer did all the work for them.
Yeah. Well, I can write all my work emails on paper and then send it to Canada Post, but I would much rather use my computer to send it as an email, right? They're obviously going to use the technology that they have available to them, right? And I think that's like it's a nice little twist that you're not expecting. So I'm okay with that because it's like did you expect it was going to be alive when you first saw it?
No, no,
No,
I'm laughing
exactly.
because I'm so amazed at how you're able to find like these episodes that don't make any sense, and you go, but it's totally
But they
it
don't.
totally works.
They don't make any sense
I-
in the. They don't make any sense in the same way that all Star Trek episodes don't make any sense, right? Like you have to make a couple of leaps to go along with the story. It's just whether or not you're okay with some leaps versus others. And this leap, I'm okay with it because I liked the reveal that this thing was alive because you're not expecting it, right? Like something is up, but it's kind of a really dramatic moment. You're like the computer's, processing. It's like bing, it's life, and everyone's like, oh,
Oh my god.
what?
It's like the
Oh
the
my
last time
God.
I put a cup of coffee in the microwave. It was so exciting when it was like and then bing.
Oh.
And then
It is.
coffee.
It's like,
But no,
I,
you've
like,
seen.
did we watch the same episode? I don't understand.
You know what I think? I think that you guys have watched this episode multiple times, so
I
it's
never
kind of.
cared for this one.
But it's kind of ruined for you. For me, it was pretty new, right? I watched it when it first came out, and then I haven't watched it since. And then I just watched it, and I was like, yeah, I'm into this. This isn't bad.
If I just want to say that I admire your dedication to Star Trek: The Next Generation. I am envious. I wish that I could watch all the episodes and love every episode as much as you love each episode.
I mean, this is definitely another check mark in the Star Trek Next Generation season 1 is the best season of the Next Generation for sure. This is.
Oh, my brain.
I'm not. I might be serious. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. There's still there's still 10
Oh
more
my God.
episodes left.
Ugh.
But I will say that I
You gotta
remember
say
reading.
that what them standing around that, like, they spend the back half of that episode basically standing in that lab, looking at those little LEDs multiply, and just talking incessantly about, is it life? It's not life like we know it. Well, what kind of life could it be? It's like, well, there could be this kind. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah,
come on! There's just
it's
two.
like so
there's literally
boring. It's
there's
so
two
boring.
scenes. There's two scenes in the med bay with the bell jar.
They're all just talking heads. The rest, like the back half, like after Data destroys that laser, which was really cool, and then they see the little light in the tunnel. And they're like, oh, what's that? And that's when the episode starts falling apart. I'm like, it was good up to that point. Like, man, they're really like building something. Like, this is interesting. I'm gonna wonder what's going to be. And then it's like, oh, they're just looking at light bulbs in a jar for another 20 minutes. Cool.
They were looking at silicon-based life.
Oh my god, it was so
They were looking at a
boring.
microbrain.
Oh, and that's such a stupid name for it.
Didn't Q start calling Worf microbrain?
Yeah, I
The
think
macro
so.
head, yeah.
I mean, those are the things that I liked about the episode. Okay, so I really liked the terraforming aspect because aside from Star Trek II with the Genesis Project, we hadn't really seen terraformers in the sort of classic sense of like, we're going to work on this planet for years. So that was a lot of fun. And then talking about the, sort of the technology of it. The other thing I really liked about the episode is that I forget his name, the main the head of the project, Professor
Mandl.
Dr. Mandl is played by Walter Gotell, and Walter Gotell is a German actor who played General Gogol on the James Bond movies. So of course I know about him, I love him, he's awesome, and to have him here. I just every time he was talking to Picard, I was like, "That's General Gogol. He's from James Bond. He's talking to." I want him to say, like, I want it for him to be like, "As the head of the KGB, I must protest."
Did you notice that he kept mispronouncing Picard's name? He kept calling him Picard.
That's amazing.
I like that actor too. Like, he did a good job in this. But all the other staff at that terraforming station were horrible actors. Like that lady, I'm like, did she have this like TED talk ready for to tell them all about terraforming? It's like she was like a museum exhibit. Like, she had this rehearsed, but they're on this isolated thing that never has any visitors. It's like, oh, let me tell you all about this. And I'm like, oh my god, she has way too much to say about this.
She was a little flat for sure. But you know what? That I can imagine her doing that. Like, if you think about, they're at a a science station, and she's a scientist, and she has to do a tour for like a donor or some big wig or something. That's kind of the same thing that she would do, right?
I thought you were going to say a donut.
A donut? If she had to do a tour for a donut?
Well, it's funny. It's like because it seems like they didn't expect or need anyone to come visit, but she was like all prepared for a visitor.
Well, that made sense to me. That made sense to me. She was kind of like, I saw her as like, what do you call it? I never went to university. Whatever you post-grad student who's got to have to like defend her thesis, and so I could see that she had like defended her thesis before and talked about her project and really excited.
Yeah,
that made sense.
It kind of reminded me of, I forgot his name, but the scientist in Jurassic Park when they first get there, and he's like showing them around the birthing room and answering questions. Like, he wasn't expecting it, but they showed up, and so he's like happy to answer questions, kind of thing. So I didn't.
Dr. Wu?
Dr. Wu? Yeah, is it Dr. Yeah, Dr. Wu.
Okay.
Who eventually turned evil because of what happened in the first one, apparently.
I love that he was just like a throwaway character, and then suddenly he just kept coming back in these sequels like 20 years later. I'm like, why is he in here?
Exactly. He was the brains behind the whole operation.
Like,
but in the first one, he was just the guy that held the clipboard.
he just happened to be in the lab that day. That's all that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think what happened with that woman is that her dialogue was looped, was ADR'd. So I think whenever an actor has to ADR their lines, it's hard for them to get that performance going again, and it can often sound flat. I don't know why she was looped, but I think
the whole episode.
Yeah,
because she was kind of flat the whole episode.
Yeah, but that's what she sounded. She sounded like she was looped the whole time. Like it could have been something like, I don't know, she had a cold and she was nasally, and then she came back and redid all her voices. But that's what it sounds like. Her voice has that quality that none of the others do.
This station is Phase 2. Phase 3 involves water. Usually we create basins using hydraulic landscaping, but the water on this planet is subsurface and extremely high in salt content.
And everybody was so weird. Everybody was so weird on that planet.
Well, they've been there by themselves for like who knows how long, 5 years.
Yes, and I feel like it was like everybody's acting was a little bit off. That's what was going on.
Maybe they did. I do remember reading that they kept changing the script for this episode. So maybe that's what it was. They were just like, I don't know what's happening next.
Really? Were they like, how can we make this worse?
For this one I did because I knew you guys would hate it. So I was like, I better get some ammunition, but there was nothing that helped. I was like, I'm on my own.
Was there a writer's strike? Was there a Teamster strike?
No. Although it was okay. The other thing is that it's the last episode that Gene Roddenberry had anything to do with.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Oh. So maybe it gets substantially better after this one. I don't know.
I'm surprised the microbrain didn't try to hit on someone then. How come the microbrain didn't make any sexual advances then if Gene Roddenberry was still involved?
Or talk about its mating cycle.
Yeah. Gene Roddenberry's just walking around set going, hey, can I show you my microbrain?
How can we sex this up? Oh man.
Well, I take it you guys did not like the episode. Message received.
Okay, the other thing I liked about it was when the laser turret was like going after Data. Except what was disappointing is
I know that was the best part.
all his best moves and his karate and all that sort of stuff was it was all unseen. You have to just imagine him going like and then breaking the thing. And then there's like the one funny moment is when the mullet guy looks at the laser drill, is like, "What did you do to our drill?"
I use work destroyed.
We spent a year building this. Not me. The guy who died spent a year building this.
Yes, that was the best part of the whole thing.
That was good. Yeah. Like I said, like the first, I liked the episode. The first 2/3 of it were pretty strong. The last third, I think that it resolved itself a little too quickly. Like basically they turned off the lights and then everything kind of was okay again. So I think that should have been a little bit. I kind of wanted a little bit more there, but rather than like just like flick okay, we give up. But that's my only real like I wish they had done something different.
Okay,
I didn't understand how I didn't understand how the microbrain threatened the ship. Like I understand that it somehow interface with the computer, but then you do the shakes, and I'm like, what did it just do? Why did the ship shake? I wasn't clear. So, because it wasn't like there was external force like shooting at it. So
no, it took over the ship. So I imagine it just did something with like the thrusters or whatever to make it shake.
Inertial dampeners.
Yeah, whatever Lucas just said.
I don't know. Did they actually say that? Because I missed that. I'm like, how did they make the ship shake?
Well, that would be one way to do it.
But the point is that they're just demonstrating that they don't have control over the ship anymore. The microbrain knows. The microbrain can do whatever it wants.
Don't you do your research, Namir? What are you going to do when you're enlisted in Starfleet and you go on a ship? How are you going to run the ship if you don't know the difference between antimatter inducer and a phase generator, or you don't know the difference between?
I'm gonna be a botanist. I don't need to know any of that stuff.
He's gonna be a lower
archaeologist.
He's a lower decks material.
That's smart.
It would appear the laser's drilling system was reprogrammed, sir. As soon as its memory bank received power, it turned itself on and went after me. I believe it was programmed to destroy any person moving in that room, sir.
And so, the question becomes not who, since clearly it was one of the 3 remaining terraformers. The question becomes why.
So, Alan, tell me something you liked about the episode.
The first part. No, I mean that's what I like, because I thought there was like such good potential, for an interesting story here, and it didn't really go anywhere interesting, but I like the mystery that there was that Troi knew they were hiding something, and then the lasers went crazy and killed that guy, and then they go crazy on Data, and you don't really know what's going on or what's. And there's just the great seeds of a mystery there, and then it was just disappointing what it ended up being, because it basically redid Devil in the Dark, but it was totally just a cheap imitation that sucked.
I don't know if it was really like Devil in the Dark. I know there's still like inorganic aliens, but the rest of it's kind of different.
It's got a Devil in the Dark like vibe, because I was thinking the exact same thing. I was thinking that a lot of episodes from the first season, or at least the first half of the first season, are kind of like, if not remakes or sequels, they're like kind of a retooling of original series episodes. So like Naked Now is Naked Time, and this episode is Devil in the Dark, and I was trying to think of There were some other ones that just recently out.
But crappier.
Sorry? What'd you say, Alan? Alan's it's frozen now. Is Alan frozen for you, Namir?
Yeah, I think he's just
There we go.
communicating
Oh well,
telepathically.
my internet's a little. My internet's a little unstable here. It says the internet's unstable. Like, I don't know. Sure.
I was like, my internet
is a little stable. It's very stable.
Oh, it's very warm in here too. My fan stopped working. Anyway.
Why don't you unbutton the top button of your shirt?
You'd like that,
Oh, we got
wouldn't you?
little Christopher Pike. I don't know what else is there to say about the episode. I feel like I want to say more about it, but you know what we haven't said? Ugly bags of mostly water.
Mostly vodka.
Ugly, giant bags of mostly water.
Bags of mostly water.
An accurate description of humans, sir. You are over 90% water surrounded by a flexible container.
Okay, so Namir, your ugly bag of mostly vodka, what would you be ugly bag mostly of, Alan?
Potato chips.
Yeah, I think that's the best part of that episode. No, that is the best part of the episode.
Sure,
Because
that's right.
If we say ugly bags of mostly water, everybody knows what we're talking about, except for Namir.
Yeah.
But in general,
I knew what that was.
no, there was. I want to say, do you remember the early '90s rap group Dream Warriors? I think they're from Toronto.
Isn't that
Heard
a
of them, I
sequel
don't know any
to
songs.
Nightmare
Here
on
I go,
Elm Street?
here I go again. Wake up in the morning. Wake up in the morning. No, nobody. No, Dream Warriors is also a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but I
Yeah.
never watched those movies, so I don't know what it is.
I think Lucas is mostly an ugly bag of mostly regret.
What am I regretting?
I don't know.
Everything.
That's everything. You're regretting singing a Dream
All
Warrior
the
song
choices
on
I've never
Zoom.
made.
Oh man, this gonna be the best part of the review right there. the best part of the review I'm just finishing right now. The one that Alan did is when I do the MC Hammer.
I feel like I can defend this episode a little bit more, but you're not. You guys aren't criticizing it enough.
What?
I got answers for everything.
Okay, tell us like what?
No, you have to criticize it so I can answer it.
We've already criticized it. It's boring. It's kind of stupid and it's lazy. It's mostly lazy because it's
okay.
all these talking heads at the end talking about It's lazy. It's lazy because they don't have to work for it. The computer gives them the answer, and then it's boring because they just sit around talking about what they're gonna do
But there isn't a lot. There isn't a lot between when the computer is like life to ugly bags of mostly water, right? Not a lot happens in between those two. In between those two moments, right? And ugly bags of mostly water. That's like a great moment that happens in the episode. And then after that, you're like, oh, I'm into it. I think
nothing happens after that. What happens after that?
Nothing.
What are you talking about? The silicon-based aliens take over the ship, and they're about to destroy the ship, and they have
They didn't do
Picard.
anything. They gave him a little shake, and that was it.
They should have blown a
because
console
That
in
was the
somebody's
most threatening
face.
thing they did.
Killed an ensign. Put the
God.
warp core on like.
Yeah, it didn't do anything exciting.
That was pretty
It's like when
exciting because you don't know what they're going to do next.
Later in season 3, when the nanites take over the ship, which is basically robotic, that was exciting because it was like causing catastrophic failures all over the ship, and it's like threatening to destroy everything. This here is I'm just going to shake you up, and then it's like show you my power.
Like not everything has to be turned to 11. Like it can be kind of subtle. You can kind of be like, oh, they're in danger without going, oh my god, this ship's gonna explode.
This is a science fiction show on television that you want to see something exciting, and we didn't see anything exciting in this episode.
I don't know if I
Again,
want to be
Not
excited.
after Data fought the laser. After Data fought the laser turret, nothing was exciting after that.
Which we didn't see. We didn't see it happen.
We saw him dodge a laser.
Well, you never saw the shark until the end in Jaws, but you were like, oh, what's going on? Well, I'm not seeing it. It's the same thing. It's supposed to be suspenseful.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's what's important, really.
All
At
right.
least
I'm
one,
gonna go.
a
I'm
three-
gonna go get an
one out of three ain't
LED
bad.
light and a beaker, and I'm gonna sit here and watch it and film myself, and then send it in the mirror because apparently it'll be riveting entertainment. So
You got-
boring,
you
It's so
know-
boring. And it's like, and this is another one too, where, again, like I always make fun of the climax, which we haven't got to yet, of a natural selection, where the climax in that episode is like, we got to look for Dr. Pulaski's DNA in her quarters. It's like hairbrush, find her hairbrush, and it's so boring and stupid. And that's the thing here. It's like the climax is, let's dimmer switch this alien.
I don't think everything.
Like,
I don't think
am in
everything.
pain now. Feed me. And it's like,
Man.
it's like, oh, thank you. Like, you win. And that's all it was. That was the big war.
Oh, that's amazing.
I don't know what to tell you. Like not everything has to be life and death, super exciting all the time. It could
It
just
would
be
be
a
better
good
if
story.
it was, though. It would be
I
more
don't-
exciting and fun to watch if it was.
I don't think so. I disagree. I don't think Star Trek is always about that. Like Star Trek is about good science fiction stories. And sometimes good science fiction stories don't need to have like a chase or an explosion.
Well, it's true, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of great ones, like you think about like Measure of Man or The Drumhead. There's episodes
Sure, exactly.
that are
They're about
great,
ideas.
and they're and it's great dialogue and great characters, but this didn't have any of that compelling subject matter. So it was just lights in a jar.
I'm waiting for your defense, Namir.
I defended it already. It's you guys want like an action episode every single episode, and I'm telling you that I don't need that, and that this was good enough for me because it was about a really interesting sci-fi idea.
It's not an action episode. We need a dramatic, a little like.
I thought it was dramatic.
rising action climax, like something called character development. The essence
none
of
of that.
drama.
There was none of that.
What are you talking about? There was tons
This
of
is just
that.
like, we got 26 episodes to fill in this season, and here's one I threw together.
I totally disagree. I totally disagree. All the elements that you were talking about were there. They're just like not up to Alan and Lucas's high standards for Star Trek season 1, apparently.
Sorry, it's unfair because I rewatch I edit and rewatch our reviews many times, and I just quoted you. You don't realize that I quoted you, but that was a quote. That's an Amir quote.
Oh, is it? Well, there you go.
About Strange New Worlds.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. What do you say? You say something like, that thing I like to call character development.
I don't remember saying that. I don't recall that. Show me the evidence. Give me the glove so I can put it on my hand.
I'm still working on the episode. It's been like 3 weeks between the two of us. It's been like a month and a half. Episodes 1 to 3.
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
I told you. It's a beast of an episode.
It is. It's a feature film. It's literally a feature film. It's 90 minutes long. Were you gonna say something, Alan?
I was, but it went out of my head.
Okay, do you guys want to say anything else, or do you want to do your?
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. Yeah,
yeah.
I said we got a couple episodes coming up now, which are prime examples of like a good example of first season episodes that had great character development. Because we're going to get in the Heart of Glory, which was a great Worf episode, and then we're getting Coming of Age, which is a great Wesley episode. And that's like, this episode had none of that stuff. So, I think
but I don't think it needed it.
Upswing
Like they didn't
in quality over the next couple of weeks.
but they didn't. But this episode was not about that, right? This episode was more about solving a mystery, which I was totally on board. And so the thing that was worrying me about this episode was that it was going to be like a thing where one of the scientists killed another scientist, and there was going to be some weird like, love triangle or something like that. And so for me, I really loved it that they. I really do. God, I hate it so much. So, and so for me, it was a nice.
And Chapel and Spock.
Oh man, he goes on so much about T'Pring and Chapel and Spock. In like every episode.
I'm not wrong. I'm not. You know it. You know it. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. Anyway, so they didn't do that, right? Like it was a twist where it turned out to be this secondary alien or inorganic alien, which for me was when I was like, okay, I'm into this episode now. Because if they had just gone on with like, oh, it's Mandl because he was jealous of blah 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 because of he was sleeping with Kim or some of this other stuff, then I would have trashed it. But they didn't do that, and so I was pleasantly surprised and happy. So maybe that happiness has translated into me ignoring all the faults. I don't know.
I think Alan is frozen in like I can't believe this.
Yeah, he is. This actually should just be Alan's pose forever.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I'm back. Yes, I still got the unstable internet for some reason, but I don't know. We apparently can't talk sense into Namir, so I don't know. Well, this is going into rating. Swear to God, if you get this thing any more than a 3,
let's do our ratings. I think if Namir gives it anything above a 6, I'm just gonna choke myself.
No, I'm not gonna give it above a 6. This is not like a 7 or above episode. But it's still
okay.
Would you like me to? Okay, so I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Oh, okay.
So right, because it's in the middle. And there are things I don't like about it, but I liked enough of it that I liked the episode.
What didn't you like about it?
I like the ending. I didn't like the ending. I thought it was too. I thought it was too quick. I didn't like the actor who played. I guess her name is Kim, Louisa Kim. She was flat, but maybe it was ADR. I don't know. Yeah, that was basically it. I thought the ending was resolved itself way too quickly. Like I would have liked a little bit more of the Silicon
Action.
aliens. Yeah, like the Silicon aliens, like that prolonging that a little bit more, like an exploding panel would be great, or the transporter going on the fritz, or them actually doing something like a little bit more dangerous to the ship. But
that's what I just said, and you were making out that it was good enough.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Any of that.
No, I know. I didn't say we didn't need any of that. I'm just saying that there was.
Should have had that.
I'm saying that there was enough in there where you got the idea, right? But it would have been better if they had a little bit more. But that's not enough for me to trash the whole episode. Like that's just kind of like an I wish sort of thing, But I like the characters. I like the scientists. I like Mandl. I thought it was great. I liked when the mullet scientist was talking about seeing patterns in the sand. I thought that was a really cool idea. And seeing them start to realize that this thing was actually alive and intelligent.
I don't understand what took them so long to figure it out. Like, oh yeah, patterns in the sand. These things are probably intelligent.
Well,
like
but I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Like, I think what was happening was that they kind of knew, but they didn't want to stop.
Know. That's why they didn't want to stop. This episode. It's like Mandl says, oh, like Troi says he's hiding something.
Yeah.
Obviously, he knows that there's a life form there, and they're destroying it. They're destroying its habitat. But then he's like, oh, I didn't mean to destroy life. I'm here to create it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You just tried to cover it up and get the Enterprise to leave and go on its merry way and just keep killing these things so you can finish your project. So he's kind of like a little two-faced.
Yeah, I think they suspected that there was life there. Whatever this thing was alive. I don't think they thought it was intelligent. So I think that's kind of the difference. And they didn't want to, like, that's kind of the nuance that I liked. Like, they were sort of really kind of battling themselves a little bit. Like, what they wanted to do was terraform the planet, but they didn't want to stop it just because there might be life, you know. But they had no idea it was intelligent. It was only until they were on the ship that they realized it was intelligent.
I feel like a lot of these, the first season was good at laying the groundwork for everything that was to come. And, you know, there was a lot of threads that got picked up in later seasons, and they did a great job. And because those episodes were so good in the later seasons, you think, oh, the original episode must have been amazing. You know, like when they bring back Tashiar. And this is a good example. Like, we revisit this type of idea again and again. In later seasons, like Alan, you just mentioned Evolution, who's totally. Are you frozen? I can't tell when you're frozen.
I don't think he's frozen.
I'm still here.
He's just very still.
He's very still. I'll just keep moving so you know I'm here.
Okay, Alan, tell me what your rating is for this episode.
I don't know. I'll give this one like a 3 out of 10. I didn't enjoy it. Like, again, I liked the first part, and then it just went off the rails, and I was super bored. And I mean, I've seen this done before, done better. You know, it was just a lot of talking heads, lights and jars, dimmer switches. It was boring.
Oh man, I don't understand.
3 out of 10.
Discovery is like all talking heads. You're like, this is amazing. I love this show.
Well, it's like, and you're here saying it's like, oh, it was so great, you know. I like the science fiction idea when they, you know, try to figure out a way to communicate with this thing. That's literally what season 4 Discovery was about. Is that they're trying to communicate with these super, you know, aliens beyond their comprehension that are like mining our galaxy and destroying us in the process. And they got to figure out a way to communicate with them. But you say, oh, Discovery sucks. Well, I'm like, that's basically, you just said you like that sort of thing.
I do, but Discovery always messes it up. They do it in like the worst way possible. It's just like...
It's always like the exact same type of story, but I liked it a lot more.
I mean, you know, like I think execution makes a difference, right? Like I always like the way that it's sort of handled in TNG and the original series, where it's always presented as kind of like a mystery that they have to solve because they're smart, capable people. But I don't find that in New Trek. Like I don't see it in the same way. But maybe I need I need to rewatch it. I don't know.
I mean, you get to the later ones, like you say, I think somebody, when we were mentioning the other episodes, like schisms there, where there's the mystery of the missing time, and the aliens are taking them. Like, there's some good mystery. Yeah. There's some great mystery episodes where, it's kind of creepy, and you
Clues.
Clues is a good one. Yeah.
And I don't.
This one was not a compelling science fiction mystery. This episode, but they do great ones later on. That is true.
All right, we'll see.
Okay. Am I frozen again? You guys are frozen. I don't know. Am I here?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
I give this episode a 1 out of 10, and that's being generous.
Oh my god! I can't believe you.
Man, you're bringing that down to like Code of Honor level.
I can't. You're comparing it to Code of Honor. There's no way that these
Code
are.
Code of Honor is a better episode than this epised. It's just a racist episode and a sexist episode, but it's a better episode.
Oh yes, I forgot to say. Yeah, this is the racist rock episode. Yeah.
Racist rock.
I forgot that. I wanted to mention that this is the racist rock episode.
Wait, why are they racist?
What do you mean? They come right out of the gate with ethnic slurs. Like, ugly bags of mostly water. I don't like your carbon base. Basically. They basically come out with name calling the first thing out of their mouth.
Yeah, basically they're like the NIMBY of aliens. They're like, you can't be in our backyard.
What's NIMBY?
Oh, NIMBY? NIMBY's an acronym for not in my backyard. You've never heard of that?
No. What does it mean?
No. So the idea is like affluent people are okay with wind farms just as long as it's not in their own backyards.
Oh yeah. There was a really good
Or
YouTube
affordable
video.
housing projects.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
it was
Exactly.
it was the affordable housing. It was, I forget who did it, but it was basically, maybe it was Vox or somebody like that, and they were doing this thing about how Democrats like vote for certain things, but that they don't want those things like in their own neighborhood, like affordable housing whenever they. So yeah.
Yeah.
I actually exactly. I liked it, and I actually posted it on my my Facebook page to share it with the world, and nobody cared.
Very good.
Yeah.
Did you ever notice how when aliens are insulting humans in Star Trek, they always start off with ugly? Like the Ferengi. The Ferengi are like, "You're so ugly."
You shock us with your ugly face.
You shock us with your ugliness.
But who else? I'm trying to think who else.
I don't know.
The
these guys-
Andorians in Enterprise always called us pink skins.
That was weird.
Oh, that is weird.
Which made no sense because I'm like, there's a very human, ethnically diverse
Yeah,
crew here.
that is very strange. I don't know about that. I bet they wish they could take that one back.
I guess it was the Andorians talking to Archer.
You're talking about Archer specifically.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Home Soil. Got that out of the way.
That one's done.
Another solid season 1 episode.
And next week we'll be back to review another Star Trek Next Generation episode. This one is Coming of Age, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
Oh, is this the Wesley one?
Yeah, do you know that I've seen this episode voluntarily 2 times in the last 6 months? Just saying.
Why is that? On purpose?
Was Home Soil involuntary this week?
Yeah, it was because we're reviewing it and I had to watch it.
Oh.
Unlike Namir, I take my duties seriously.
Oh, what? I totally watched it. I'm defending this episode with my life, basically.
Just where is our future? The